So, just like last year, I thought I'd give my thoughts on what excited me about this year's E3. I have to be frank with you, I wasn't as excited for E3 this year. Not because I didn't think any good games would be announced, but because I simply didn't have time to see all the live streams. For some reason, the live streams are already at very bad times for watching them in Scandinavia. And this year, Sony decided to put it like late in the night, so I didn't watch that one live. I think I barely managed to watch Ubisoft, and well, Ubisoft being Ubisoft. So nevertheless, I decided, last year I shared the top 5 games that I'm going to be excited for once they come out. And I thought I would do the same this year, so enough talk, or time for more talk, I guess. Let's talk about the 5 games that I think will be really cool that were talked about on E3 2016. So a game I haven't really seen people bring up is Civilization 6. Though I do see why, because it doesn't seem to change all that much from Civilization 5, though this will be the first true new entry in the series since 5, Beyond Earth being some sort of spiritual sequel to the Alpha Centauri series. I believe it was called Alpha Centauri. I kind of skipped that because it's never really been me with the whole future space age thing in Civilization. When I play Civilization, what I'm looking for is make your own history thing, and I normally quit games once they enter the modern ages or the future ages, sometimes even like losing on purpose, because I really don't it really doesn't interest me, the whole giant robots thing in the late stages of the game, it seemed to implement the fog of war from Shogun 2, which I think is a really pretty dynamic. Like, Civilization has very much turned into like a very presentation heavy series, because, well, it has to somehow keep your interest. And I like the new art design. I feel it's going a little bit more cartoony again. It was very cartoony in Civilization 4, then it went somewhat realistic in Civilization 5, and now it's sort of regressing. Um, I don't know, it feels very Age of Empire-ish, but at the same time, I can see them wanting to keep it appealing and friendly, and especially trying to get newcomers, maybe even kids, to play the series would be easier with a less realistic and less serious, complicated game. They also seem to be changing sort of some of the dynamics. As far as I can tell, now wonders will be tile improvements of some sort, which is going to be interesting to see. Like, what will that do to warfare? Would you find yourself in a situation where a wonder would help you a lot, but you need the space for farming and stuff like that? So it's going to be an interesting little mix between Civilization 5, which was really combat heavy, and then the presentation style and the old school style of Civilization 4 kind of mixing in between, since this will be the 25-year birthday of the series. How are they going to change, because a lot of things in Civilization 5 were predetermined, like everybody rushes the Great Library, and I hope Civilization 6 does something about that, like does something about the meta game in that sense. Steep is an entirely new IP from Ubisoft, and it's one of those games I didn't expect to care about. I'm not much of a sports kind of guy. I'm not much of a sports game kind of guy. So seeing a sports game like this initially made me shrug and not really care about it. But it just seems like a very interesting game. It might have been because I just came off of playing Just Cause and wanted to play more of that. But the base jumping, multiplayer, ski sports, action, extreme sports thing that this seems to be, seems interesting. It seems interesting to like be able to travel around the Alps. This is like a specific mountain range in the Alps. They've kind of implemented as like a MMO kind of game, and then finding random players just kind of seeing the landscape and traveling up mountain ranges and skiing down mountain ranges and jumping off cliffs and flying into the sky. Of course, with a goal. I mean, it is a video game. A specific goal is to win races and stuff like that. But it's still interesting to maybe we'll be allowed to just walk around and take in the environment that they've obviously like taken so much care to make. Of course, knowing Ubisoft, this should of course be taken with a grain of salt. This is pre-recorded gameplay footage shown here, and there's no telling like how many server issues there might come once the actual game comes out. Nevertheless, it seems really interesting, and I'll at least try and give it a go, depending on the price point. Dead Rising is one of those friend of a friend series to me. Like, I've kind of kept in the background, looked at new trailers for a new game whenever it came out. My initial introduction to the series was the Chop to the Drop Till You Drop port for the Nintendo Wii, which is the absolute worst introduction you could have for Dead Rising as a series. And it kind of turned me off to it until I saw someone play the 360 version of the game. Dead Rising 4 looks like it brings back Frank, who apparently has been gone from the series in favor of this stuntman father character, who was introduced in Dead Rising 2, Chuck something. And it just seems like the Saints Row of zombie games. Like, if Resident Evil is GTA, then Dead Rising is definitely like Saints Row. And it's just fun to look at gameplay from the series and look at all the different silly ways that you can kill off zombies. And even this trailer shows a lot of weird, silly ways to off the recently deceased and then returned. I of course don't know where the series has gone since Chop Till You Drop, which I didn't even finish, but I hope that newcomers like myself will get a chance to check this Christmas-themed horror zombie funny killing game. I at least will probably be checking it out. It would be perfect to do for my annual Christmas thing anyway. So this just looks like a fun, weird little zombie experience with a good sense of humor. South Park: The Stick of Truth was one of the first games I did for this channel, and as such, it holds a very special place in my heart. Both because it made me fall in love with South Park all over again, even though I had been away from the series for years, and second because it's a very good game. It's the original Stick of Truth was kind of a turn-based Paper Mario-ish game, which let you run around the town of South Park, and it seems like this time they're going more of a Mega Man Battle Network route, with implementing movement into the game, like strategic placement of where you are on the actual game base is going to have is going to matter to whether you could defeat someone. It's not just mashing the same super abilities against random enemies, which is great because Stick of Truth could get samey. It was funny as shit because it was South Park, but holy shit, the actual gameplay could get samey. And it's great to have them like address this and try to change it up a bit. Now it's going to be based on the Coon Saga, which is actually my favorite series of episodes. So hey, lucky me. And it's going to take place like the day after the events of Stick of Truth, like maybe even only a couple of hours later. So whether or not there's transferable saves, I don't think will matter at all, because I don't think the writing for the game will be deep enough for it to matter. Like, did you remember to get this special ability last time? It will matter because it's not Mass Effect, it's fucking South Park, and it's going to be funny as shit, and I'm really looking forward to it. So number one is a game I think will be on top of a lot of people's lists this year. I'm of course talking about Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is going to pretty much blow the series out of the water. It really feels like from the gameplay and from the trailer that the game is finally crawling out of the shadow of Ocarina of Time, a shadow the series has been under pretty much since it came out. Or since Ocarina of Time came out, I should say. Because it's really been like, all the console games has been Ocarina of Time with some variants in the story, and all the handheld games has been Link to the Past with some variants in the story. We're finally getting something very different. Breath of the Wild looks like it has a lot of roguelike elements, with you having to crawl around the forest and kill animals to eat meat, and having to tame your own horse out of several horses, which means you're not just given Eponia at some point in the game. Maybe you can find the true Eponia heir or something, but nevertheless, it looks like you can tame horses and just use them. It also looks like you're going to have more ability to choose with which weapons you want to use. The cinematic trailer last year had the arrow or the bow and arrow feature as like a main thing, and whenever I see gameplay footage from this year, I see axes and clubs and fire rods, not so much the swords. Of course, the Master Sword is there because it has to be, but it's really trying to like kick itself in the balls and get on with it and finally like make a truly new Zelda game. I'm considering this an announcement from 2016 because even though the game was announced in 2015, we weren't given much of any information at all. We're given a very short cinematic trailer, and that was pretty much it. 2016 has a playable demo and actual trailer and a lot of like information. A lot of people have pointed out that the Sheikah seems to play a very big role in this game, something they haven't really done since Ocarina of Time. And it also seems like the world is very empty of normal people. Like, Link himself doesn't really seem to be from this era at all, and you can use the Wolf Link amiibo to summon Wolf Link as a companion. So this is a very like different, very different Zelda, and I can see why they decided to push it back to this year, and maybe not even release it till next year, which I don't think they do. I think they release it 2017. So this is going to be like finally a radically different Zelda. We have had a lot of storyline things. We've had the timeline cemented to be several timelines, and now we're finally seeing a true evolution in the gameplay. And it's so exciting to finally see like something out of the spin-offs to something that's not just a spin-off, to take the Legend of Zelda formula and say, okay, what can we do to bring this into the new millennium for real this time? So those were my picks for the most exciting games of 2016. I know there's a lot of games that I didn't bring up. I know there's a lot of great games I didn't bring up, and I know there's some remakes that I didn't bring up. Did you feel I was fair? Did you feel there was something I just overlooked too much? Let me know in the comments, and let's have a discussion in the comments. It's going to be interesting. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye!